Grant, welcome to the conference. It's great to have you. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to you, and then we'll do some questions and answers at the end, okay?
Excellent. Thanks, Scott, and thanks everyone for attending today. I will be utilizing some forward-looking statements, so please keep that in mind as we progress through the presentation. So Blue Star is a company exclusively focused on Nunavut gold exploration. We've got two high-quality projects, our Ulu Gold Project and our Hood River concessions contiguous to the Ulu Project. On the Ulu Project, we've defined a high-grade gold resource, 600,000 ounces in the M&I category. The grade is 7.5 grams per ton in 2.5 million tons. And there's also an inferred resource of roughly 250,000 ounces, 1.26 million tons at 5.5 grams per ton. So we've got an identified high-grade resource. The project has excellent potential for expansion, both at the deposit itself, proximal to this flood zone resource that's on our Ulu Gold Project, as well as regionally on our extensive land holdings. We've just completed a 7,600-meter drill program. This was the first drilling conducted by Blue Star at the Ulu Project, and we tested several targets, exploration targets, as well as some drill holes on the flood zone, the main resource zone itself. And we see excellent share price re-rating for this company. We've got a high-quality gold asset with great potential for expansion, and over the coming weeks, we'll have the balance of the assay results from this recent program. Our management's listed on the next two images. So I'm a geologist by background, a lot of experience in managing successful mineral exploration companies. I've been doing that for the last 12 or so years. We've got Peter Kuhn as an experienced mining engineer that's part of our team, and Warren Robb is our exploration manager, a seasoned geologist with a lot of experience throughout the North. Just a day or two ago, we announced the addition of Eugene Flood to our team as a technical advisor. Eugene is credited with the discovery of our main flood zone on the Ulu Project. It was discovered by BHP in the late 80s and drilled off in the early part of the 90s. So Eugene's a great addition to our team. He runs a consulting company now, and his expertise is in target generation and assessment of large databases. Our board's listed here, so we've got good technical expertise, finance expertise. Our lead director is Dr. George Pollard, and he's a significant shareholder of the company, owns over 30% of the stock, and very supportive in total the board of our projects and advancing them going forward. Our capital structure is noted here. So about 180 million shares outstanding today, and based on that, an issued and outstanding market cap of about 20 million Canadian. We've got a lot of warrants that are in the money now, and part of our financing mechanisms going forward in the near term will be exercise of those warrants and continue with aggressive exploration of our core gold assets. So this is a bird's eye view of our projects. We're located in Nunavut territory, about 500 kilometers north of Yellowknife. And the Ulu lease is shown in the red shape here, and it's surrounded to the north and east and southeast by the Hood River Project. So on the Ulu Project, we've defined our high-grade gold resource. There's also great potential for further discovery on the Ulu lease itself. And then the Hood River property is a less advanced project with what we think is great new discovery potential. All told, about 9,000 hectares of exploration ground that we control. And now we're zeroing in on the Ulu mining lease. So it's a 21-year renewable mining lease we have. This is on Crown land, which is most of the exploration projects in Nunavut would be on Inuit-owned lands, but this is on Crown land. It was discovered, as mentioned, back in the late 80s, early 90s, and drilled off then by BHP. That would be the flood zone. There's also a satellite zone called the New Zone. And these mineral deposits are associated with a broad fold structure that runs about 5 kilometers or more from the flood zone and north onto the Hood River claims and culminating at the or ending at the North Fold Nose Zone, as we call it. And along this large fold structure, we've identified the current resources at flood and new, and we have excellent potential for new discovery. The fold structure is intimately associated with the gold mineralization, as is a sedimentary volcanic contact that runs through the hinge of this fold structure. The current resource on the Ulu project is shown here. So the flood zone is the main deposit. The new zone is a satellite deposit. As mentioned, we have significant high-grade ounces defined here. Most of the work done to define this resource was completed by BHP, and following that Echo Bay back in the late 80s and through the 1990s. The last resource estimate done here was about 5 years ago when gold was about $1,200 an ounce. And so based on the current drilling and more geologic interpretation of the geologic model for our deposit here, we'll revise the resource estimate in the coming weeks and look to probably establish that publicly early next year. One high-grade intercept that's very interesting, drilled off by BHP back in the 90s, is noted here, just under 15 grams per ton over 7.7 meter drill width, was drilled about 100 meters below the M&I resource blocks. So we view the flood zone as having great expansion potential at depth as well as proximal to the known zone. Metallurgical testing done on this deposit is also has been completed, and it shows very strong results. Plus 90% recoveries were noted in the test work utilizing standard metallurgical processes. So a 3D schematic of our flood and new zones are shown here. The deposit comes to surface. It's fairly narrow at surface. It was discovered as an outcrop showing by BHP. The second drill hole put into this back in the about 1989 or so was the discovery hole that discovered the flood zone. Eugene Flood, our technical advisor, conducted that drilling and then drilled off about 50,000 meters of drilling with BHP through the mid-1990s. You can see the openings at plunger at depth here at this deposit, and proximal as well. We think in the limbs to this large fold structure, we have excellent potential for further discovery. This is an interesting schematic. It shows the BHP drilling data, about 50,000 meters. It shows the composite gold grades over thickness relationship. So as the zones get thicker in this deposit, the grades increase. So that's a very promising trend for future mining potential here. And this schematic shows the price of gold over about a 30-year period. So most of the work on this project, about 90% of the drilling done to date, was completed from the late 1980 timeframe through the 90s when gold was trading at sub $500 an ounce. You can see that Echo Bay, excuse me, and BHP did the lion's share of the drilling in the first part of the 90s. So this project hasn't been aggressively looked or really assessed properly in over a decade. And the last time when serious drilling was conducted, gold was trading at about 4 times lower level than it is today. So we view the gold price environment now as optimum for advancing this project with further discovery. Here we have a bird's eye view of our claim holdings with the Ulu lease shown in blue and the large Hood River concessions outlined in red. As you see to the north of the Ulu claim, our Ulu lease block, we have the North Fold Nose Zone, and this at the end of this large fold structure that runs about 5 kilometers from the flood zone north to the North Fold Nose Zone. And this is one of the very prospective trends that has further discovery potential on it, and a lot of our future work will be assessing the potential of that structure. And another look at the bird's eye view, look at the claim holdings we have here. So now if we go to the East Hood River property over here, this is relatively underexplored. It's on the other side of a large intrusive body that sits here. And there's developing trends here, the Penthouse and Crown trends, that'll require further assessment. We've got well over 20 targets, high-grade showings on the Hood project that need follow-up. So we see excellent potential for new discovery on that large landholding. We've released some results from our recently completed drilling program. They're shown here. So we intersected 7 meters at just over 13 gram per ton in a flood zone drill hole. We completed about 5 holes in and around the flood zone for filling in some blank areas that hadn't been drilled properly, and some geologic model holes that would help us assess the model further. We have about 3/4 of the drill results left to release over the coming weeks. So we'll have some great news flow as we go forward through November and into early December. Some of the upcoming catalysts are summarized here. So we've got the results from our drill program. They'll be coming announced over the coming weeks. This was the first drill program completed on the Ulu project in well over a decade, and the first program by Blue Star since acquiring it. Following up on the high-grade BHP intercepts at depth is planned for this project as we go forward. We'll look to do a resource update in the early part of next year. We'll work on that over the next several weeks here. And really strong potential we see here for new discovery, new deposits outside of the flood zone, as well as expansion on the flood zone. And that'll all be tested as we follow through with drilling on this asset. And next year we have planned roughly a double program that we did this year, so in and around 12,000 meters plus of drilling. A large portion of that is potentially financed by the exercise of a lot of warrants that we have in the money. And following that program, again, we do a resource update and look then to advance into economic studies in the future on this project. The landscape is shown on a picture at the bottom of this slide. So we've got well-established infrastructure here at our Ulu camp, airstrip, roads, and a nice 50-plus man camp. And some of the advantages we see with this company: we're in a great jurisdiction. We're solely focused in Nunavut. We have great social license with the regulators and the people of Nunavut developed over our history in the project up there. We've got a great high-grade resource with potential for expansion. The infrastructure, although we're in the far north, is reasonable here. We've got, like I mentioned, the airstrip. We've got a camp, facilities to handle all of our exploration crew and drillers. And with gold trading where it is now near all-time highs, we think this is a great opportunity to advance a high-grade gold asset in a jurisdiction that's quite mining friendly. And I see I have a little bit more time, so I'll just go ahead to this slide here. This shows some of the peer activity in this area of Nunavut. You can see Sabina Gold is off to the southeast of us, Blue Star noted here. With that large market cap, just under $1 billion Canadian, we view that as sort of a larger peer that we would like to pursue in terms of growing Blue Star with further resource discovery and then creating market value as we go forward. And I think that just about wraps it up. One last view of the landscape with our Ulu and Hood River camps in the far north.
Great, Grant. Thanks so much for that. That was excellent. Grant, a couple questions we have. Can you maybe just talk about? You did touch on the relationships with the Nunavut, I guess, regulatory bodies and the communities. Can you maybe just spend a little bit of time talking about the importance of those relationships and maybe a little more detail on those and how you acquired the asset and the social ties you have with the regulatory bodies, including the Water License Agency and that sort of thing?
Yeah, certainly. So we have a great relationship with the various regulatory bodies, the Nunavut Water Board, NTI, the KIA. So there's various bodies that you deal with in terms of land use permits and mineral exploration. We have a team that deals on the permitting side with building relationships and maintaining very positive dialogue with the groups. And what was the last part of your question, Scott?
Oh, no, just I guess that's great, Grant. I just really just touch on the importance of those relationships and how how you've evolved those and how Blue Star is working sort of hand in hand with not only the local regulatory bodies but also the local.
Yes, gotcha. And so we view that as highly important and put a lot of emphasis on relationships with the various regulators, certainly.
Excellent. Okay, we got a couple more minutes, so I'm just going to get a couple more questions here. In terms of the infrastructure around the camp, and there are plans for a road, I understand, right, Grant? Can you just give our audience sort of an up-to-date for the road to the north and how that's going to positively benefit Blue Star as you advance the project?
Right, and so there is work, and I'll just draw up a slide here. There's work being conducted on this potential Grays Bay Road, and that would run from the Arctic coast about 100 kilometers south right through our Ulu claim group and then continue on to Yellowknife. So this is a large all-weather road proposed by various bodies, and if it gets completed, it'd be Nunavut's first access via road to the Northwest Territories in the south. So this is about $1 billion project. It's in the planning stages. There's been some funding by the federal government. So over the coming years, this should pick up more steam, and this would be very beneficial for our project as well as others in the neighborhood should it get built.
Great. Excellent. Thanks for that, Grant. That's very informative. Appreciate that. And then beyond 20, so Grant, you took us through the catalyst for 2021, and as you advance the project through drilling. Beyond that, is there anything that you can sort of share with sort of your long and how you see this project developing and becoming potentially a flagship project in Nunavut in northern Canada?
Certainly, yes. So our current goal is really resource expansion, high-grade expansion. There's been several economic studies done on this deposit, though, in the past by Echo Bay and later on by Wolfden. So a lot of detailed engineering data is available. So that would really help us fast-track further economic studies as a standalone operation here. And we'll focus now for the coming year and two on resource expansion. And in tandem with that, we'll have sort of preliminary economic work going on in the background. Our ideal situation is doubling the resource. Here would be our goal, and then giving us the right mass for potential economic development.
Great. Thanks, Grant. That's very informative and helpful. I do have a question from the audience, a new question that's come in. How many of the staff, or in particular the geology side, are Inuit on Blue Star right now, or just in terms of like staff in general? So what sort of Inuit presence do you have in the team right now?
Yeah, so this year was a difficult time because all of the companies operating in Nunavut did not bring any Nunavut residents to their camps for work due to COVID. But last year, when we were operating the Hood River project, we had several Nunavut residents helping out with various tasks on the site, and that would certainly be our plan going forward. Next year, we'd really look to bring in more Nunavut workers should we have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, obviously that's for social license. That's obviously a very important element as you push the project forward. Obviously, right? So that's excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah, great. And so we don't have any more questions for the moment, Grant. So listen, thanks so much for your time. We do appreciate you attending our conference, and thanks for everyone attending. We hope it was informative. And Grant, will definitely keep tabs on the Blue Star Gold story as you advance the project, and look forward to an exciting 2021 of results.
Yeah, great. And thanks everyone for tuning in.